Hi, my name is Zoe, and this is my dog Miso. A year ago, I decided to move to the countryside of Japan to pursue my dream of becoming a full-time artist. Here are snippets of my day-to-day life. I hope you enjoy. First things first, I need to make a little foundation stitch chain. Now, I have been copying this YouTube video for so long, so you just kind of want to coil that, have that bit on the top, then put the needle in from here, holding onto here, and I'm just going to pull one through, leaving it like that, and then I'm going to come back through here and this is where it gets a bit tricky, but I think I need to come this way. Then I've got two loops here, one loop here, and I need to just kind of pull this whichever way it can pull tightly. So this is the bit where I always get a bit tricked. There we go. There we go. So I have my two little loops here now, and that is kind of like the bit that always stumps me, is how to start this off. Once you've got this done, it is very easy, I promise. Okay, so now that we have this little two knob knot, I'm lost for words right now. So we are going to do the rest of the foundation stitch. Foundation stitch is super easy. You just want to go through both of the loops. Make sure you're not using the string with the short end to start with. So make sure that that is coming through. But basically, you're just going to want to pull through both loops. So I've done one, and then remember how we had our two loops before, so there's 1 and 2 here. I'm just going to come back in through the front loop only. Now if you've pulled on your string too tight, it can get a little bit hard. And then I'm just going to come through the front loop only, leaving the back loop on there. And that is the first row. So you can see I've got 2 here and 2 here still. And next I'm going to go through both again. Again, I don't want to pull it too tight or have it too loose, just kind of keeping a nice tension. And then I've pulled this one too tight potentially, but you can always, I'm trying to figure out where the mohair is. This is a bit tricky when you do two strands. Whoop, I found it. There we go. Alright, so I'm back in that loop, and I'm just gonna go through the front one, through both, through the front only, through both, through the front only. Cool. And there I have my little foundation stitch. Now I need to keep my little measuring tape close by because I want this to be 6 centimeters. So I'm currently at about 4 centimeters, and I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe if I do like another 2 lots, I might get to where I need to be. 1. Just through both, yeah. 2. Let's have another look. Let's get you out of the way. I'm definitely not a pro at all at this, but I can do it, so that is all that matters. How am I doing for length so far? So we're at 5, so I probably need another 2 more. Two, 1, 2. Alright, Alright, so this should potentially be 6 centimeters here. So I've got that there. Yep, it is 6 centimeters. So that will do. And how many did I do? This is the great thing that I love about making my own patterns freestyle, is because I don't have to do like a stitch check. So if you were going to make this same beanie as me, you could just get your measuring tape out and do like a 6 centimeter by 10 centimeter square, and you don't have to check anything. I actually would love to start making patterns that are kind of like you measure it yourself, so you don't have to do that annoying needle size check at the start and waste time and yarn, because yeah, I feel like sometimes you want to use a different yarn to what the person was using and make your own stuff. And if you do it this way, it just makes the process so much easier and better. So anyway, that is my foundation stitch done. Awesome stuff. And I can start crocheting from here. So now I'm just going to continue going until I get this to 10 centimeters, and then I'm going to check it on my head and potentially go to 12 centimeters. Before I get into the square, I'm going to show you guys how to start a new row, and I'm literally just making this the easiest way possible. So if you want to follow along and make this with me, you totally can. At the moment we've done the foundation stitch together, and then we are just going to make a 6 by 10, potentially 12 centimeter square, but I'm going to figure that out later. But at the moment I'm just going to show you guys how to start the new row. So we're on this row here, and I'm just going to pull through both the loops. So now I have one strand on my needle here, and then if you pick this up here, you will see that we have all of these like double loops here. So we are going to come through, so this is it here, and I'm kind of turning it around. We're going to go through this first one here and then here. So now I have my original loop and then the 2 loops that I'm going through, and I'm just going to have my yarn loosely on my finger here and pull that through. So now I have 2 loops, and then I'm just going to pull through the 2 again, and we're going to keep doing that for the entire row here. So I'm going to go through my first loop here. Sometimes I don't do this the most beautiful way, but I still get there in the end, so that's all that matters. So again, I have 3 loops, which is my 1 loop here and my original. So 3 little hooks here, and I'm going to pull through that loop and then pull through that, and we're just going to continue this whole process for this entire row here. It can be a little bit tricky when you're doing it at the start because you don't have much to hold on to, which is why this looks so ugly and uncoordinated when I'm doing this compared to a lot of other people's tutorials. But honestly, just trust me, we will still get there in the end. So just keep going. And wait up. Once we get past this row, it's going to be so much easier, I promise you. Let's go here. And if you're just doing this with a single yarn, it will be a lot easier too. So I'm at my final little nodule for this row. As you can see, that is where the knot is, and there's only a single thing there, but there is still this 2-prong here. It was a bit difficult to get into. I had to use this smaller needle to kind of nudge it open because of when I pulled the string at the start to make it quite tight. But this is basically the first row. Now we're just gonna double check that the length was okay so that I don't have to redo this again. So yeah, it's about 6.5 centimeters. So I probably could have gone a little bit smaller, but actually probably closer to 7 centimeters because this is such a chunky yarn. But I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm pretty happy with that. And we are just gonna keep repeating this until we get to 10 centimeters. So like literally this first row is probably like a centimeter and a half. This is going to be so fast. So again, to change row, you just go through the last 2 hoops and do it like so, and then you just kind of flip your yarn and your hook around, and then we're going to want to go through this first loop here that we're already in, pull through, got 2, and then pull through there. If you don't do this corner, you will find that your work starts to shrink down in size. So you want to make sure you get that first prong, and then again, just gonna keep going through, and you can see I'm so much faster and look like a proper YouTube crochet person now, because that first row is always the hardest. But yeah, this is pretty much, that's gonna be it. I might actually start putting in some of the red in this bit, but I'm having a think. Do I want to start it from this little patch at the top and make it complicated? You know what? I think we might do it the easy way today and just leave this in these 2 colors, because once I start changing the colors is when this is going to be the only difficult thing about this. So you know what? Let's do it the easy way today. And I'm just going to keep on doing this and going through. So again, just always the same. I've got 2 prongs here, my original hook, and we're going through, and then that way. I don't even know what this stitch is called. That's how much of a novice I am. So I will look it up for you guys and chuck it on the screen. And then again, you're gonna think you're at the end, but there's always another little hook you can go through. So as long as we have 2, I notice I'm missing my mohair for that second one. So you can see I've got the mohair now, and I'm gonna go through, again, flip around, going through that first notch that seems like it doesn't need to go through, or you've already gone through it when you turned, but that is kind of like the masterpiece that is going to keep this square looking beautiful and square. Did I have 2 hooks there? See, look, I did. They were just so beautifully blended together. Honestly, I love crochet just because it is so forgiving, and if you make a mistake, you can just unwind it and go back to where you had it right. So that's what I love about this. Ooh. I have completely just, I don't know, I started knitting, and then I just hated how like it's quite hard to do stuff unless you know what you're doing. Whereas in crochet, you can kind of just make any shape you want quite easily because it's so free. I mean, I'm sure you can do the same with knitting, but I just wasn't quite technical enough with the stitches, and I would just end up like buying patterns off Petite Knit. I loved her patterns so much, so I made like 2 jumpers and a beanie and all this kind of stuff like that. But I just found that I never really like understood what I was doing enough to kind of put it into practice, whereas with crochet, because I kind of already know how to make patterns for clothes, it just kind of clicks to me how I can build things. And yeah, because the shape is so much freer, like I can do that foundation stitch and then I can pretty much make any shape. So we've done maybe like 3 rows at the moment. I've got 4 centimeters, so I'm like halfway there. I am just gonna have a little break. I will be back shortly. Okay, so I have just reached my 10 centimeters that way, and I am about 8 centimeters that way. Ooh, we grew a bit, didn't we? But anyway, it looks like a nice square shape. So that is kind of all I care about. Now I'm just going to try and fit this on my head and see what the deal is. Okay, so I'm just going to make this loop nice and big so I can get the hook out of the way. That is my hook. But this is going to be the bit before it starts shaping. It's still not really touching the back of my head, so I reckon, yeah, I will do the extra 2 centimeters. Each row is turning out to be about half a centimeter, so I'll probably need another 4 rows. So I'm just gonna do that now. I also realized that I forgot to do the extra loop when I was turning rows, but it doesn't seem to have made an issue, so I'm just gonna leave it out, see what happens. So I did the extra 4 rows and we actually got up to 13 centimeters, and I just measured it on my husband's head because we pretty much have the same size head, and it was like perfect sizing for the next kind of part to start happening. So if you want to make this bonnet, I keep saying beanie, oh my gosh, make a square that is around 13 centimeters long and approximately 8 centimeters wide. If you want to have the same bonnet as me, I have a 55 centimeter circumference head, so if that is you, it should fit you also. So the next part of this bonnet, basically what I'm gonna do is, instead of, up until now we've been crocheting like this, and from now I want to be crocheting like this, going around this U shape, back and forth and back and forth, basically until it comes down to like a shoulder length. This is going to be on the top of the head, and then this is going to be the next part. To make this part easier, I'm going to flip it around so that this starting loop is at the front. So this is going to be like our forehead, and this is going to be the back of the head. That way I can just weave this tail in later and it's kind of towards the back and less noticeable, and I have this really nice edge at the front. So I'm gonna just start crocheting around in a loop like so. Again, that first little row might be a bit tricky, but once you get past that, it'll be so easy. Like I literally did this in like, I don't know, like 5 or 10 minutes, this square, and it already grew quite a considerable size. I do have quite a chunky yarn, but yeah, I mean, if you want to make this as well, it'll be super easy for you. This is what we are looking like at the minute. You can kind of see the corners have curved a little bit, which is just what we want. And I've done, yeah, just that first row. I've also kind of woven in this tail as far as it can, just so it's out of the way. And yeah, I just hate weaving tails, so I usually like to just weave them in as I go if it's something like this, or for my red accents I will literally just keep weaving them along until the thread disappears, and that way I don't have to do it at the end. But this is kind of like the first step, and now we are literally just going to keep adding rows and rows and rows until it grows down to my neck. And I'm going to start switching in some of these colours as well and do a bit of like colour blocking. But yeah, that is pretty much the bonnet. It is that simple. So I will tune back in once I've made a bit of further progress. So last time we had a look at this, we had just done the top section, and I've done one single row around just to get the loops kind of going the right way. But from here on out, I'm going to need to start doing my colour weaving. Hey, why are you crying? What's happening? But yeah, I'm going to start doing my colour weaving in here, and I'm still undecided. Hey, you coming to check out my project too? I'm still undecided if I want to kind of do like two crochets in like one loop, just to do some increases to make this bigger. So I might just have a little check on my head so far. Miso has decided she wants to be the center of attention here. So, hi Miso. Hello. You wanna go walkies, don't you? Soon. In about an hour we will go, my love. Okay. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 or 3 rows with the increase, and then I'm going to have another check on my head. It is just a little bit small, so yeah, I just kind of want to make sure that it doesn't have like a weird shape over the head. I've just put my first 2 rows for my color to start coming in, and oh my god, I was getting a bit worried that this was going to be too boring and like weird, but now that I've got these color pops, it looks so good. I ended up going into this corner stitch here. I've just done it, and I put 3 crochets in that one stitch because I wanted it to kind of curve out a bit more. It was looking a little bit square, so I'm just going to put another color block in here, do my 3, and then put 2 here, and then we'll just kind of continue. Once I've got these things fed in, so I've just like cut this because I'm using the same kind of thread for all of it, but yeah, I just basically like attach them in and weave the ends in as I go so that I don't have to do anything at the end. I basically just kind of like loop it back and have double the amount of yarn that I should until the tail runs out, and then I'll just keep flipping and flipping, and I just have this like other bit of yarn. It just kind of floats under the bottom, like so. I'll show you guys now. So like for example, if I was gonna go here, and this is usually like where you have your yarn, I will just have that there, and then I will thread, for example, like this other piece around it here, and then kind of go like that, and then that one stays tucked in while that one kind of goes around, but I'm not gonna do this one yet, but like that's what I mean. And then I'll just use the end and weave it all in, so there's like nothing I have to do at the end. This one's a little bit different because it's like the starting one. I probably could have done something about that, but yeah, I was just like starting the foundation stitch there, so I didn't really want to make it too complicated. But yeah, I'm going to keep going and we'll tune back in a few rows. So this is what it's currently looking like. The red just makes it look so awesome and pop. I ended up doing 3 rows together, and each corner piece would have 3 new crochets where there would usually be 1. So there was 3 increases for 3 rows, and now it looks like it's the perfect size for the head. And if I just keep going around, then that will be like the top of the hood, and then the rest of the bonnet will just kind of form. And yeah, it looks like it's going to work out perfectly now.